táid condulig fécinn ar Oisín dTír. Se ceantas an prósatála déanamh guibh, it's your bélidas, the folklore, an scéal atá ann an gcomharsa. It hasn't come up since 2016, so there's a good chance it could come up this year. It was on the exam craft pre this year too, so it could come up. Okay, so basically this is what you need to know. Cad the Horlas a scéal, what happened? Tréthe an Bélidish, what are the traits of the Bélidish? So mar dúirt mé, this is a folklore, which is Bélidas, normally spelt like this. We'll get to the grammar in a second. So Bélidas sin folklore as Gaelga, and then it's the traits of the folklore. So anytime you have Tishal Ganadox, that becomes Tréthe an Bélidish. The character, Tréthe agus Fianna Shat. Céna Dina Tosa scéal se. You need to know all the people, their traits, like your man's Kroga, she's Coachtuk, Ruddy mar sin, and some evidence why you think they are those things. Okay, so this is what came up in 2016. Madras an scéal Bélidas Oisín dTír déan play Garrod gá ceann rudí se. So pick 2. An léirú aimid Oisín mar chuna Grover dílas se scéal. So when it comes to the traits, there are 2 for Oisín. He's Grover, he's loving. You can bring up his dad, Fionn, he missed him. Vrashe ahar ivaduig. Bhí sé dílis. He was loyal to his dad because even after a few hundred years, he still wanted to go back and see his dad. He was dílis to Niamh, I suppose, as well. Agus a hailach fad. An forte glachan porric nefa sa scéal. So bhí sin Dakar. I think very few people would have done that year. Though the part that St. Patrick plays, well, you could say it's a bit of a nasc, and you might even have the word nasc in the cheist. A nasc either on Chríostaíocht. So Chríostaíocht is Christianity, agus Págántucht. So this scéal takes place back in pagan times, and obviously St. Patrick was a Christian, so it's kind of a link, a nasc between Christiacht agus Págántucht. It also gives, him being in the scéal gives Oisín a chance to tell his story, so that's how we get the scéal, so that's a pretty important role as well. Iver 3, scríobh síos gá hampla an ábhéil atá sa scéal. So if you're making a list of vocab for the story, that's one thing you should know. Ábhéil is exaggeration. We usually just use the word driocht for magic. But essentially it's the same bits. The things we would call driocht, the magic, you could also call them ábhéil, like the flying horse, living for a few hundred years, ruddy mar sin. So I suppose it is exaggeration because you do have a horse, you just don't have a flying horse. And you do live, but just not for a couple hundred years. Déan play Garrod ceann díobh. So bheadh sin éasca, you could just talk about, well, one of the samples of exaggeration is the whole driocht thing. So just pick your favourite driocht bit, agus be a caintear sin. Right, 2013, Mad leis an scéal Bélidas Oisín dTír déan play Garrod the rá gá ceann den account edal se alana. So pick 2. On fort a glachan níomh chinóir. So that'd be easy enough. What part does she play? You just basically tell the scéal. It's all about the details. No sunry. Do you know all the details of the scéal? So hánig sí ar an capel, bhí seanna dahúil, her grúig yon, cadela fui cuirsi Oisín fuyasa, cuisi go tír na nóg. She also shows us the trait of the Bélidish, if you want to bring back that, we'll get to in a minute. So one of the traits of the Bélidish is that the women were very strong, so bhíoch na maná an a loidir, and the part she plays in the story is that we see these traits, we see that women were strong, we see that women had magic, mar chuirsi Oisín fuyasa. So that'd be an easy enough one. Then you could talk about the Rawa, remember that word? She gives Oisín 3 warnings. She's Toshiana Clishdash, Toshi Kielver. She's a sensible kind of person because she knows everyone else is dead, but he doesn't. Krukos Oisín on Ur, a dog, she Tír na Nóg. Okay, it's kind of a tough one because you had to understand on Ur a dog. So the tough situation Oisín had from the time he left Tír na Nóg. So you had to only put in bits like Cúil sé go héireann, hit sé den chapel, dahraigh sé in a sean ar daul mar sin. But again, you're just telling the scéal. On trail Béliad is a smó a hanny and lots of scéal. So your favourite trait of the Béliad, I think that's probably the easiest. We'll come to them in a second. Okay, as I've often said before, the Gnála Véil Ceisna are very good. You could always go over the ordinary level ones just to make sure you know what happened. Like Céin for Honnig Níomh Chinór go Héireann. So just test yourself. Do you know why she came to Ireland in the first place? Because she had heard of Oisín, so chúla sí fi Oisín, chúla sí greibh sé dahúil at rudí mar sin. Tuair gá rud a dinis níomh chinóir de Oisín fi hir nóg. So 2 things she told him about Tír na Nóg, go raibh gach rud acu, go raibh flúirse de gach rud acu, they had enough of everything, bhí galore bia, bhí agus níor airigéine sean. Nobody gets old, that's the big thing about Tír na Nóg. Scríobh sí scóra the Horla, Cholús a Rishiad, Tirnanog. So what were the two things that happened as soon as they reached Tirnanog? Well, they married, Fós Siad, so became Twish and the Wiv, Vi Banish Aka. So Fós is they married, and then a wedding, Vi Banish Aka, Agus Vi Festa Aka. So we'll get to that when we come to the traits. They had a 10-day feast, nor Rishi Tirnanog. Cadadurt Nik Finoloshi nor Vi Antach. Now this was cruel. An old word for tach, which did come up in the scale, I suppose, but it's what we call a couple. And the ordinary level people had to know that ach was a couple. So what did Niamh Cúnor say to Oisín? Nor Vi Antach bon when she gave him the horse, what did she say? Dúirt she no cur the chus ar halav na hÉireann. Don't put your foot on the ground of Ireland or you'll die, basically. Louis Gochush ar vala Niamh Porrick Oisín hort leis ar hers ar fud na hÉireann. So two reasons that Niamh Porrick wanted to bring Oisín around Ireland. Well, he wanted to hear his story, so he found there a scéal chlustal. He also wanted to change him into a Christian. Now there's in your story he became a Christian, so you're just going to stick with that. But there's a lot of other stories that he said, if my dad isn't in heaven, I don't want to be in heaven, which is another example of him being dealish. Okay, in Chianella, the other ones quickly, comma, so be keen to get of comma, appearance, vi she dahul, vi she fion, vi gruig origa, ke dorchiad, Kent told us a hook she fui here in Oaks, we've done that, said it was a wonderful place, they've enough of everything. Kent sort see Livia Goshin lesh Nafina Solar Imex, that's a tough one again because they don't tell us much about his life. And he had to understand Sullers before he left for Tirnanog. So all we know is Gimyukshi deg Fiuk, hunting. In your version they don't tell us a lot. Like poor Oisín was abandoned by his mother when he was a kid. She became a deer, so she kind of couldn't really raise him, I suppose, when she was a deer. So he had a tough life, but they don't tell us that. He was, I suppose you could say he was a leach, but leach a viakshe snefiana. So this was his band of warriors, Vishe Snefiana, so Shin on Sailor Viega. Kane told us Tosh Scale Finna Poshti Vig Niamh Cúnor Oisín, so we know they had 3 kids, Fionn, Oscar, Agus Plornaman. Dan Kirshias an Timpsta Hord Oisín, so what's the Timpsta Hitche then Chapel? Okay, Shin the Keshna. So we go back over in the Rodi V Le Fowler McGuiv. Basically all come back to this. Cad the Horla sa Scale, do you know the details of Cad the Horla? Do you know the traits of the Bealidish and the character? Most Keshna seem to be about the people. Okay, so quick bit of Gramaduk before we go on. The Tishel Ginaduk is a thing we have whenever we have two nouns together. So it is a Bealidis, a folklore, but if it's a folklore story, is scéal Bealidish a. So you say it is a folklore story, is scéal Bealidish a. Fianiocht is the type of story it is because these guys were in a band of warriors called Nafiana. And the stories about the warriors is Fianiocht, and then because it's a Fianiocht story, it's a scéal Fianiochta. You add the a like you would Unad Shupadorachta to make a shopping centre. That's Tishigin the Chuma. Niamh, Coppel, Neva. I would never personally even think of changing Niamh to Neva and Tishigin, only pointing it out because I've seen it in some sample questions, and then you'd have to know that Neva is Niamh, but when you're writing, just call her Niamh. And the last one's important just for Dun Scéal Seo. So Éire is the name of our country. If you're going to Ireland, you have to change it to Gohéireann. Mar sin ag deire an scéal bhí fáin dul arash Gohéireann. And then he was told, do not put your foot on the ground of Ireland. Anytime you've of, well, almost, you have the Tishel Ginaduk. So then it turns to Talamh na hÉireann. And in terms of the Tirnanog thing, oh no, there should be a D there. So Vishe dTír na nog, the story of this scale, the title of the scale is Oisín dTír na nog, just like Garkig would take on the Roo, but if he's going to Tír na nog, it's just Vishe dul go Tír na nog. Okay, now Nisha Rohok, that's only 5 marks for the grammar, but it's just kind of nicer to get it done. And to know that Neva Shin Niamh. Okay, Shin the character atá ann. I felt it important to point these out because I've read answers where people think that Oisín saved Niamh from the Fahak. This is Ineen Ri Nimio, the daughter of the king of life. She was the one on the Ilon. Okay, there was an island. They stopped on the island on their Coppelbon on the way to Tír na nog for him to have a big trid with the Fahak, just to show that Oisín was strong and he was a warrior because he had just been put under a spell by a woman. And I couldn't find pictures of people who were Fionn, so just give me a kiss a whiff. stick with the scéal, everyone was blonde in the story. So tá gach den a fionn an sin. So sinna daoine a bhíann, there's Oisín an Tahir, I suppose now he is the Ahir. He Niamh an Van Céile, Oscar, Fionn, one of them sons is Fionn, and Plúr the flower of women, sin an Calíonn Táca. Probably didn't wear these clothes back in these ancient times, but you know, I couldn't find another picture of a family. There's Fionn Machuil himself, that's Oisín's dad, the guy he missed, he went home. Sin an Fahach, so bhí sé ag trid leis an bhahach feig 3 lá agus 3 ihe. But when it comes to the traits, it's important to know 3 days for fighting with the ogre, and that's the ri. Hábháil sé ri. Sorry, inín ri na mio. Ag dúireadh cuirme sus Google Classroom. I'm trying to condense all the prose down to one page, so if you just try and learn this page, then you should be okay for the prose. So na rudí atá ann, tosóigh mé leis na character, you need a load of adiachtaí. For every prose agus don ilíocht and the vaictanín, you need a load of adiachtaí dus na daine sin. Ag caiitan sa Oisín, rinne mé darmid dílis. Tá sé dílis, he's loyal. Tá anna cud rudí eile, tá sé, eile. I saw a thing in one book, all the traits of Naomh Pádraig. I don't think I'm going to need to know the traits of Naomh Pádraig, but he was a saint, so I mean he was nice. Bhí sé das, bhí sé cordúil, bhí sé cabhrach rudí mar sin. Ach bhí cinnt gohfuil rudí a gcuibh don bhirrte cá ar aonos. Oisín, he's croga, is léacha, he's a hero, tá sé grábhar, tá sé dathúil, tá sé cabhrach, so he's helpful, he's beautiful. Niamh, tá sé cóchtach, sin beidir an ceann is táchtaí. She's powerful, she's ciallmhar cliste, because you know she knew everyone was dead, but he didn't. Tá she loidir, tá she ceann dána, it's kind of stubborn because she wanted her man and she went and she got him. Tá she stoma, kind of level-headed again, she understood everyone was dead. Ach tá she dríochtach, she is magical chuma. Now there will ein rodella nach will right to come and sin. Tá she osnodor, no tá cóch the osnodor, okay, tá gachrad mar sin dianta. Tá si clútha going massam. Na daine eile, just begin to gadigan tú céad na daine eile, there's Fionn, Naomh Pádraig, Fuair Ballach, sin an Athdhéanamh atá an bhahach. You can call him the ogre and Fach, or his actual name, Fuair Ballach. Then the kids, Fionn, Oscar, Plúr and your one who he saved, Rinamio, Inín Rinamio. Okay, folklore. You should have your own list of vocab, but just araglan a haglan achwil sé guibh. Try to maybe learn these ones. So 3 chiad far, we count in the singular as Gaeilge, so it's 300 men. Bishid ag fiach, there's also the word ag shellig, just raglan na hagla, you might see this in a question sometime. Ag shellig is hunting comma. Fuyasa, under a spell, chorshi, Oisín Fuyasa, driocht, fahak, fiesta, rawa, wording, couple driocht, warnings there twice. Just ignore that. August in a bro is captive, so you'd say she was captive, vi she in a bro, egg on vahak, means that he had her as a captive. Hallan seo is scéal gashke is kind of a hero tale, bealidus, nantogags fili, that nur chúise rashke heran, chúise kana ahar oilt ach nirvan ahar aun, and he went to his dad's old house, but there was only nettles and weeds, so nirvan ach nantogags fili, agus an lina shin ni airian aine shan, no one gets old idir na nog, shin talk to choma. Trehan veilidish, I couldn't imagine this scéal coming up without Trehan veilidish. So I think Toshana Hochlik Mushid rolls the wave. Okay, Ifrica. The important numbers are 3, 7, and 10. Because it was a folklore story, they didn't write it down. So they needed to know the details, and it needed to be easy. So if it was the same numbers all the time, then it was easy to tell the scale. So the Ruddy at the Aun vi Trur Poshtiaka, Chashe 3 law eg trid leshen Vahak, remember 3 days, 3 nights fighting with the ogre. Oisín gave him Niamh gave Oisín 3 warnings, for Hugshi 3 rawa though. Vi 3 chéad far ag fioch. I read somewhere that they spent 300 years in Tirnanog, but that's not in your scale, so we'll leave it out. Vi de law de niha chav either a Keilora. When they reached Tirnanog, they had a party, and it was 10 days, 10 nights. Get only 7s in your scale. Furlovus the man is kind of female dominant supremacy. Okay, female supremacy, I suppose. Churshie fuyasa. In a lot of stories in other countries, it's the man saw a woman he liked and he went and he got her. In the Skealta atá Gwynna, often it's the woman who found the man and she went after him. So that's why this is important. Churshi fuyasa a. The driocht, which we could also have that word we had earlier, veil, exaggeration. Tá capaldríochtach Éfriasa, like they flew over the waves onto that island. So that's pretty magical. The fact that he didn't get old. And get sachosha is the verb airig. It's only 4 if you literally get something. So near airig sé shan, he didn't get old. Tá leachas ánach tá crogacht. So leach is a hero, leachas kind of heroism, crogacht, bravery, mar bhí sé ag trid leis an bhach. So seo cúpla abert de bhechama díobh chomá bhraise ar bhadúig. Okay, you can just read through them. I'm pretty sure you know them already, but just you could test yourself. Try to practice. He wanted to see his dad and then see, can I think, bhí found a eáil. Okay, rud déarnach. On the very off chance you might get asked about the structure of the scale. I saw it somewhere in a Fragra sample once upon a time. So the structure of your scale is a little bit different to ways it's sometimes told. So scale atá gwibse, you start with the bit where he's old, tá tríchéad far, and then hit sé den chapel. So he falls off the horse at the beginning of your story, whereas in other versions he falls off at the end. So on seo, hit sé den chapel. Charig sé and then hit sé. So he fell off here. Hit sé den chapel and then bhí sé shan. Cuig sé go Naomh Pádraig. He went timp na tíre Naomh Pádraig. So Naomh Pádraig was spreading the good word of the gospel, and poor Oisín was going around with them looking for his dad. So dinne sé an scéal, that's Naomh Pádraig's role, that he heard the story from Oisín and he told him the story. So then it's kind of a throwback. They go back to the scéal, and then we start here with the bit where bhí raibh siad ag fiach. They were hunting. Then Hánig Níomh, then they're on the way to Tirnog, so Fahak should be kind of here. On the way to Tirnog, he fought the Fahak, he win sé an ceann, he took the head off the Fahak. And then bhí sé Tirnog, had a great life, he sailed Furfa Ka, he Gakra the Ka, and then we found Dolavala, he wanted to go home to his dad, and then we're back at the beginning. So it's kind of a circular kind of thing, a tog of sha. So sin an structor. Okay, you don't go learn Dallas. It's sin there in scale. So tas ulam dig an sib an scale in ish.